Zelensky's heroic army is storming the south of the country in Ukraine. Ukrainian army attacks create a hurricane effect in the south of the country. The Russian army is staggered by the attacks of the Ukrainian warriors. The decisive attacks of the Ukrainian fighters in the south are giving the Russian soldiers a headache. The uninterrupted attacks and pressures of the Ukrainian soldiers have greatly overwhelmed the Russian soldiers. Russia is failing to defend the occupied territories against the Ukrainian army. This caused some Russian soldiers to give up. In the recent developments in the south of Ukraine, a considerable number of Russian soldiers began to flee the region, realizing that they could not stand against the Ukrainian warriors. While the Russian soldiers were fleeing the area they occupied, they only cared about saving their lives. The weapons and equipment left by the Russian soldiers in the occupied territories during the retreat caused great military damage to the Russian army. The Russian military is in danger of running out of stockpiles, with what it lost during sanctions and withdrawal from occupied areas. The Ukrainian army, on the other hand, benefited greatly in regaining its dominance in the region with the weapons and military equipment gained as a result of the withdrawal from the Russian army. The hero army of Ukraine has never given up on its purpose of sending the Russian army back to where they came from, their home in Russia, since Putin's invasion of Ukraine. The Ukrainian army is constantly struggling to clear their country of Russian invaders. The Ukrainian army is making the greatest effort in the struggles in the south of the country. Tensions continue to escalate day by day in Kherson and Crimea in the south of Ukraine. The Russian army is living hell in the south of the country with the attacks carried out by the Ukrainian army in an effort to remove the Russian invaders from the region. Recently, the Russian army has decided to evacuate the inhabitants of Kherson in case the Ukrainian forces attack Kherson. Russian commanders personally monitor the evacuation of residents in Kherson. However, Ukrainian authorities believe that the purpose of the evacuation in Kherson does not reflect the truth. Ukrainian officials take the view that Russia is preparing to defend, not push back, in Kherson. Considering this possibility, the Ukrainian army launched a series of operations to block the aid routes to Russia. The aim of the Ukrainian army is to block the supply routes of Russia and to leave the Russian army in the region as a solution.